So what's going on, everyone? Today I wanted to kind of focus on the comp I'm enjoying the most with Alhaitham, or like I like to call him Al Handsome. And essentially I wanted to go with the one that felt the funnest because, his spread comps are pretty nice, but they kind of rely more on his like hardcore combos. Burgeon is also fine, but it kind of relies on people having like, Kokomi or, using their Barbaras, which I kind of find most people don't really have built. So one of the stuff I wanted to see is like for those Nilo enjoyers out there, or people who were thinking of getting Nilo on her rerun, kind of showcase the two of them together because I was actually impressed. Personally, I thought it was going to take a lot more, maybe until Baizu before Nilo really saw a lot more play, but the combination of Yao Yao and Alhaitham together made her comps really feel strong. Now, don't get me wrong. Of course, you could have just dropped in Nahida, and it would still feel relatively okay, as you could see. But for me personally, because well, he's taller, so he doesn't get kicked around like a ball as much, and his autos are faster. It feels a lot more gratifying. It feels nicer to play with Jincho, and it feels nicer to play with Nilo, and then the rotations just feel kind of smooth because you can go in, do what you got to do. Even though he's like on top of his blooms, right? He can still be doing relatively nice damage because he scales off of EM in terms of his autos as well, right? So after he uses his skill, so when you kind of put everything together, it's like, oh, okay, this guy's actually pretty nice. He fits pretty nicely into the comp, and it's actually a lot smoother, because like with Nahida, like okay, typically when I start a rotation, I want to do the longest skill first, but I don't like starting off with Nahida other than like in her other comps, in her Aggravate and her Hyper Bloom comps. Yeah, I love starting off with Nahida first, but in the Nilo comps, like starting off with her, it's kind of awkward simply because you're going to start producing blooms that aren't affected by the Golden Chalice from Nilo. So you kind of have to be like, okay, I'm going to mark them at the end and do the ult at the end, which kind of, eats up a lot of the time from Chincho and Nilo's, uptime. So personally for me, I was like, yeah, it's still usable, but I don't like it as much as I would do with Alhaitham because it kind of just flows beautifully. You do your Jincho, you do your Nilo, throw out your Yao, then go ahead into Alhaitham, and you don't have to worry too much about extending him too much or getting his combos really succinct. Just applying Dendro and then making sure you're blooming regularly, and it's beautiful because I want to do a specific video on Yao Yao. I was gonna bundle it with Alhaitham, but Yao Yao has actually really impressed me in who she has made fun as well because with Alhaitham, he's made Nilo much more fun because before I was just like, man, why did Nohoyo release a character like this? I still don't like their model. Kind of wanted to do something about the video about that as well. But just kind of going through overworld, even boss fights, right, with them. Of course, it's not going to be as strong as other comps, but it feels a lot better with Alhaitham just simply because he's adding quite a bit of damage. So it's kind of just nice, even when you're doing Nilo Bloom on single target. But of course, in AoE, it's way better. That's what it's obviously intended for. And when it's in AoE, it was so nuts that the new was it Emirates? That we play like that they introduced in this version 3.4. I couldn't even see their animations because they got blown away in like a few seconds. The damage when you actually get a smooth rotation with Nilo and a smooth comp with her is actually nuts. Nilo's damage is crazy. So now I'm starting to appreciate that Hoyo's like, okay, I'm gonna lock this unit down to only this, right? I'm gonna make her only do Bloom, but her strength level is going to be nuts, right? So I don't have to really worry about, some people can call it lazy, and sure, it probably is to some degree, because but it's like, don't worry, like this character is going to be this strong. Right, I don't have to worry about, okay, what if I do something else with another Dendro aware character or Dendro supporting character, and then it's gonna make Nilo a little too strong. It's just like, nope, you have to use Hydro and Dendro so we can kind of estimate how strong she's going to be in the future and that she won't be too overpowered, which is understandable, especially if you're on such a tight schedule. So now I'm actually learning to appreciate her more, and I'm starting to see also why the key feels a lot better too, right? Because before, again, Nilo would probably Nihida with Nilo, right? Unless you have C2 Nihida. If you have C2 Nihida, it's nuts. It's just okay. You still want to kind of probably go that way too, if you're not using her on Hyper Bloom or Burgeon. on another, let's say Abyss floors and stuff like that, and using her on another side. If you just have C0 Nihid and you're using her for aggravate, I like that Alhaitham's a drop-in replacement. He just works very cleanly with it, right? He's autoing anyway, so he's triggering Jincho, so it feels really nice with Jincho. And I personally like having Jincho in this because of the protection that he gives and the subtle healing that he gives, just to top up what Yaya wasn't able to do at C0. So yeah, you can use Yelan, but it's not going to be as good. You probably want more HP on your Yao Yao then. And, and him and Yao Yao on the same banner is just so efficient, right? Yeah, altogether, I do love their gameplay. Their damage is definitely good. Even when it comes to a single target, it still feels fine because of what Alhaitham comes to bring. Of course, okay, sure, can there be another Dendro character that comes out and makes him, less favorable? I mean, sure, just like, okay, does that mean you're just not going to roll on anyone because there's going to be another amazing unit later? That doesn't really make too much sense. So for now, especially with this limited pool, his strength is pretty high up there for me. I definitely enjoy him. It's going to be very curious to kind of see where Baizu's place is going to be on team comps with Nilou Bloom and other type of comps with Alhaitham. But of course we'll wait and see. But I'm extremely excited about Baizu. But for now, I'm having a lot of fun with Alhaitham and Nilou, and he's made Nilou really fun for me now. Before, she was just going to sit in my inventory for a while, but now not only do I enjoy Nilou, but I also love having her weapon because it just works really well. Personally, I wouldn't want to roll for Nilou without her weapon, but obviously through some of the clips you saw, I switched between Favonius, sword and the key. So I switched between those swords, and she still does good work, right? Like with the Favonius, you're going to be battering up your Jincho some more, so you kind of go for more offensive stats, which is nice. And with the key, obviously everybody gets EM, so you kind of don't care who blooms as much, right? And yeah, so altogether, and for Alhaitham in this comp, I'm just using free-to-play weapons, so you can, all of you guys who have that R5 Iron Sting, you finally can use it on somebody, right? You can finally slap it on your Alhaitham and call it a day. Or for your if you got the new ghost weapon, which is I believe the only animated weapon we have in the game, which is interesting it took this long. I didn't even know they had that capability, but it is pretty cool. Now that we finally have that weapon, you're able to use that on him, and it's actually pretty nice. So personally, Alhaitham's free-to-play options with the Nilou Bloom is pretty nice. Of course, so if you are completely free-to-play and you have just Nilou and Alhaitham, it still works. It actually still works. Of course, I wish there was some type of HP weapon for 4-star, even if it's a little bit of HP. That would have been nice, but I get it. It's fine. If you did get Nilou, but you didn't get her weapon, you can still run her with Alhaitham, and it actually feels pretty smooth. Yeah, the damage is pretty nice, and it really will only matter in Abyss, the real difference between the key and the Favonius. For new sword, it's good because at least you're battering up Alhaitham, battering up Yao Yao in case you need that emergency heal, and battering up Jincho. So either way, it's actually pretty good. She's not as reliant as I thought on the key. With the key, it's extremely good. Obviously, it's much better. It's much better. Everyone gets enough EM, and what's that thing called? And she gets a lot more HP. But it's not. I don't think it's like she's dead without it. You're definitely able to use her. So and I was able to verify that with Alhaitham. So I'm glad about it. Can't wait to see more Dendro characters to go further, and I want to definitely dive into Yao Yao because she is interesting as well. Thanks for watching.